Hey everyone, my name's Emily and this is Emmylou Arts. I'm so glad you're here today because I am going to work in my new teeny tiny journal. I love to art journal and junk journal, and I just moved down to this smaller size, which is sort of making my heart sing right now. So if you have a project, just put me on in the background and it's like we're arting together. So if that sounds good to you, then come along and we're just going to do some journaling. Now, I have been so excited to sit down and work in this smaller size notebook. It was just a standard size traveler's notebook insert that came with my Carpe Diem traveler's notebook, and I just lopped off the top and the bottom to make it more of an A6 size, which is more like 4x6. It's about that, not precisely. But I decided to do some watercoloring. The paper's nice, it's pretty thick. I don't have a heat gun, so I'm just trying to soak up the rest of that watercolor. And those are the cheapest watercolors possible. I think they're like Craft Smart brand from Michael's. So I think a pan of them is maybe like $5. I don't even know, but it's very cheap. And I am using some of my Fox washi because this entry was about my kids and when they went to get their flu shots and stuff. And that Fox washi just reminds me of them because they're little sly foxes. I'm an only child, so it never ceases to amaze me the dynamic between brothers and sisters. And I didn't want to forget that day that Henry had his 8-year checkup, and both of them, they had their flu shots were in, so they both had to get their flu shots. And Henry was losing his mind, and he's the older one, so you wouldn't think. But Addie volunteered. She said, "I'll go first, Henry. I'll be brave. I'll go first." And then she ended up screaming when they put the needle in. And just like having a conniption. And so that scared Henry even more. So they were trying to do his, and he's like, "Ah, ow," like right when she stuck him, and it was just like the most deadpan ow, and it was so funny. And then it was done, and he's like, "Well, that wasn't that bad," and I'm like, "What did I tell you, you crazy?" So it was just a funny experience that I wanted to remember. And then on our way out, you know how they can pick stickers? Well, Henry, for the first year ever, did not want to pick a sticker. So I guess 8 is when you're too old to have a sticker from the doctor's office. So Addie picked one, and she also picked one out for him in case he would want one later. So it just reminds me that they really do love each other. So I have to record these moments. That little card was came with an Aram Condren planner, an old one, and then I printed out a picture on my sprocket from their homecoming week. They were posing together in their school t-shirts, and I stuck it on the back of that card. I love tipping stuff in like that, just so that there's hidden pockets in different areas in my journal that stuff's kind of hidden, and you know, it takes a little flipping through to find all the pictures in the journaling. And then I stapled a little tag on there that was just a cutout of an old piece of scrap paper. I like to, if I have a little piece of scrapbook paper, I use my cutter to cut tags out of it, just to staple into journals and stuff like that, because I just love it when things poke out and it looks stuffed and crazy and you just want to look and see what's in there. So this spread was I really didn't know. I had a bunch of stuff that I wanted to stick in there, like costume pieces of the labels from the costumes that I picked out for Halloween. And then I just rifled through all of my collage stuff before I sat down to film, and to do my journaling, and picked out things that just, I don't know, kind of related in my mind and sort of had the same feeling. And that pattern, it was kind of, those are old pattern pieces that I bought from a pattern at Goodwill. And it's just kind of vintage. And then I had those die cut flowers from an ephemera pack from Tim Holtz that I got a long time ago. And I just liked that vintage feeling, like that old-timey, I love to sew, but I don't ever sew my kids' Halloween costumes because I'm just not good at that kind of sewing. So the picking out of the costumes, it always just kind of reminds me of like the moms that sit down and toil away over these amazing costumes, and I just go to Target and I buy them. But they're always super happy with them, so that's fine with me. But Addie is going to be a monarch butterfly, and that was the little tag from her wings and her little antenna. And that little black tag was another thing that I just cut out from scrapbook paper, and I wrote on it with my Jelly Roll pen, which actually shows up on black paper. So that's kind of cool. I need to get some more Jelly Roll pens because you can write on them on black paper, which is pretty neat. And then I'm using some washi, just kind of black floral. It also seems sort of vintagey to me. And then I put another of their pictures on the back of that little flip. And then Henry is going to be a Lego guy. It's actually creepy. When he puts it on, it's actually kind of creepy because he looks exactly like a Lego guy. Especially because the first time he tried on, he was wearing a red shirt, and so it was a little spooky. He looked like a Lego. And he was ecstatic about that, of course. So what I'm doing is just gluing a piece of paper onto the back of that so that I can journal on it. And because there was no room on that page to journal on, so I just created a blank space on the back of that area where I could journal. And I just wanted to write down that they were super happy with the costumes, and I actually picked them out when they were at school, and I thought, well, I don't want to spend like $30 a piece on a costume, so I just bought pieces, like the little antenna and wings that only added up to like $16, and then his was like $12 instead of really expensive, and they were just super happy with that. So I was pleased as punch that they loved them. So Addie's been fluttering around the house all weekend in her wings. And Henry just like rounds a corner with that Lego costume on, and it makes you about shat your pants, but in a funny way. And then Saturday night they were super excited because we had Chinese food, and it's pretty much their favorite because they love reading the fortunes. So they carry around the bag and they shake them up, and we all have to pick our fortune, and then we go around and read them. And so that was a highlight. They love Chinese food Saturdays. And then I'm just putting another little piece of scrapbook paper on the end of those fortunes because, well, I made a mistake and got glue over the whole thing, so I didn't want to glue them down to the page. And I purposefully chose the piece of that label that had the little tag sticking up where it would hang on the shelf because I just wanted that poking out of the book. And then I'm just sticking in more of that vintage floral washi. When I journal, I sort of just turn my brain off. There's not a rhyme or a reason. I just do it. There's really no, people say, how do you journal? And I'd love to make a video about that, but really I don't know how I journal. I just don't think. I just start putting stuff down and writing about how it makes me feel, and a lot of the times I end up someplace that I didn't intend to. Like it just kind of takes on a mind of its own, and I think that's the greatest part about journaling is that it's therapeutic in that you end up doing things and writing about things that you didn't even know were on your mind in the beginning. So if you have not journaled or don't know how to journal, I would just give it a shot because it's amazing, and you have a lot of keepsakes at the end because I always think about, just these memories that I have to keep. And what am I doing now? I'm taking my watercolors and I'm just painting in between the white spaces left on that little piece of paper. And I really like the orange and that pretty tealy green color together. I think it's super pretty. So that page with the fox and the bird is from Fables, a book of fables that I got at the Dollar Tree a long time ago, and I just liked the images because they were They were really vintagey looking. And I love that picture of the fox and the bird. It's like they're taunting each other. And it just reminded me of my kids. So I put in some of the Tim Holtz words, and I put, you trouble me always, traveling companion, true friend, side by side. And I just loved that because it just, I don't know, it reminds me of my kids. They trouble each other always, but they're traveling companions, true friends, side by side. So I don't know, it just spoke to me. And then on the other side, I put little things to be preserved. So to me, that's what this is, just little memories that to keep. And a lot of people say this is junk. Like somebody was trying to explain to somebody else what junk journaling was. I think this was in my mom's knitting group. And she's like,
I don't want to keep all that shit. I'm a minimalist.
and granted, I guess some people do consider this just junk. And it could be, but to me it's just memories and little things to be preserved. So I'm just showing you how it all came together in the end. That was another little thing from that vintage ephemera pack that I really enjoyed. So I just stuck that down in there too. And that's about it. It's just memories to keep. That first page I did, and I did not film that, but I had a lot of fun using some images from a Real Simple magazine. So I am so glad that you journaled with me today on this rainy Sunday. Please come back, like and subscribe, and thank you.